right, we're in. Good morning. It's straight up the middle. It's going to be an early April Fool's because you don't have the attorney here, the good attorney here. He's out on business. I believe he's up trying to probably battle what Governor DeSantis just put into play as far as squatters, but we're going to be talking about that later. But anyway, good morning. And I'm in the studio, and I have a guest with me that you guys have seen before and heard before. I'll go ahead and say what I said earlier. I think she's going to be our next mayor. She's definitely all over the place. When I look at her live streaming on Facebook, it's her. So, good morning, Robin.
Good morning. Good morning.
And where have you been? And what are you doing?
Oh, all over the place.
Exactly. And doing everything.
It's all about the community, though. What's best for the community, or pushing the community forward. Still working on housing with the city of Tampa, making sure that those $12 million they have in the budget, we got put in the budget, that they spend it exactly how they say they're going to spend it. Talking about high utilities in the community, having meetings with Gwen Myers, Commissioner Myers.
I missed my meeting with her last month, but okay, good.
Just having a conversation because although the county doesn't regulate it, they can use influence with TICO to talk about it.
And that's going to be our entry point. I certainly appreciate that. So I was joking about whether or not Clint would be in Tallahassee. I know he's in Tallahassee. I don't know what he's doing there. But on the serious side, and this is something that I don't know if you know, but I am the chair for the Cypress Mill Community Development District, the CDD. And so I had a meeting scheduled with Gwen Myers that I pushed to get, and we talked. We actually had a video conference, and then I was going to go to one of her, what is it called, community meetings?
Oh, community, yeah.
And I missed that one, because I teach in the evening. So the reason why the housing is big, because the whole thing of squatters, and it's been around for quite a few years, a decade or so now, but it's coming back full force. And what we're seeing, what I think I'm seeing out in Sun City Center, and that new development is only 5 years old, but I think we have squatters out there. And so when we talk about housing prices, I ran into a gentleman at the auto shop yesterday, and he's saying that I think he's renting a house they're trying to buy, but houses are too much. And so that, they're paying these high rentals. So if we go to what DeSantis did, are you familiar with the whole squatter bill? And I don't know all the details of the bill, but I think it's worthy, and I think we need that. And this is why we live in a Republican state, because we have a Republican governor that will do these things and not err on the side of squatters. So I think what comes with that, and what I'm seeing, and I don't want to make it too political about illegal immigrants probably being the only offenders here, but I think that's the case. We have a lot of non-English speaking persons in our community. And it boggles me with the housing prices, new houses, that someone who speaks no English comes in to buy a house. They're probably renters, because we have more than one or two. And the reason why I'm on the squatters thing is because the neighbors have a two-story home, so I can look over kind of an advantage or disadvantage, because I'm not trying to see anyone's business. But when you have a two-story home, you can look over and just see what folks are doing. And we only see this gentleman at night. And the rest of the house is dark. He's always sitting out back. There's a grill out back, and there's a TV out back. But the rest of the house is pitch dark. So I asked my wife, have you ever seen this guy during the daytime? She's like, no, I've never seen him. I think that's a squatter. So where...
would he have electricity on in the house?
And he can have some type of power supply. I don't know what that would be.
Without electricity?
Well, I mean, he would need that, but here's the other thing.
Because even for him to have a
grill. He has a grill.
Yeah, but you said grill. TV.
He had a TV on, but you can have... I guess you can have some type of battery pack, so I'm not sure, but let's go. I mean, you can also run the cord from someone's outside extension, because there was a case in the Villages. I'm not sure which community of the Villages, but there was a squatter in one of those homes. That's kind of weird for the Villages. But what had happened was the resident passed away, which is common. Villages has an older demographic, and two teenagers. These are teenagers living in the house, and they're getting water from one neighbor's garden hose. And I don't know if they saw them running a power cord somewhere else. So, and with the squatters' rights, until DeSantis signed this bill, it's such a 6 to 8 month process to get them in court to try to get them out. So my only thing is now, since you mentioned that working with the housing, you guys don't deal with squatters in housing?
I mean, so I remember, I guess early on. So let me just start here. So the laws that's in place, I don't think the laws that are in place in regards to, like, if somebody stays in your house longer than 7 days, or if somebody has, there were loopholes in the existing law that protected what those squatters were doing. So now DeSantis has created a pathway for the property owners to have rights and to make that process shorter. Is that, so, okay, fine. Because now they would have to go through eviction and that whole thing, right? But now he's made it shorter. But specifically, do we deal with, like, squatters? No. But if something comes up and it's a big issue, because we're trying to keep people from being homeless. So if but a lot of early on, a lot of homeless people were taking. I don't know what it was. It was certain people that were taking over, finding a house, breaking into it, and they start living in it.
Right. The pure definition of a squatter, and that's what they say they've been doing. And in some cases, it's gotten a bit more sophisticated. I've heard now these on the right-leaning channels that some of the illegal immigrants have been spearheading this because they have such back channels over the years, and so they're telling people how to spot a house. And early on, we've had people in our community Facebook group, which is like a gang, but they're always reporting, "Oh, I saw this car driving around," blah blah blah. But that's what I understand that they're doing. They're driving around during the daytime, and so they'll make a couple of trips maybe during that week to see if anyone comes to a particular house. So, if it's empty, it's going to be a for sale sign or for rent sign. And so they drive around to see how many times they see someone at that house. Now, I don't know how they would get this detail that they're doing, but that's pretty much what they're doing. If they don't see anyone at the house and there's a for sale sign, then they'll break into a back window and just pretty much commandeer the house. And the reason why I think it's that because the other way that they're doing it is, to me, really bold. They are filling out applications. So they're applying for a rental, but it's under a fake name. And so that's where a lot of people have been getting hit on the back end. They start to get judgments and whatever, when they don't pay the rent, because under a fake name, that goes through. It takes them like 60 days to catch up with them. And then now they're in the house for 2 months, and now you have to go through this process to put them out. We don't have that. I don't know that we have that.
Oh, so that must be something different, because even if they put it under, they're going to ask for ID. Mm-hmm. They're going to ask for ID. Mm-hmm. They're going to look, they're going to run your credit. They're going to run your criminal background.
Now we're talking probably
and then they have to,
agency, but a homeowner, they're harder for money these days. I mean, they should be able to, but a homeowner, if you're renting from an actual person, I'm renting out my house, I might just go in good faith because I'm trying to get that.
But how many of those are,
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
Right.
So, and then you have to pay an application fee. Yeah, there's just sometimes $200. So, and are they doing it because of the, so a normal prudent person, right? Are they doing it because prices in home ownership is so high? I mean, to get a house is so high. They don't qualify for 3 times the rent. That's so high, and they're essentially homeless. So they'll go into a place for 2 months or 3 months and then barely live there, but then pop over to somewhere else, and out of 12 months, they'll live somewhere, out of the 12 months, 10 months, and be homeless 2 months. I don't know. I don't understand the logic of it, but it shows a bigger issue. If those individuals can't afford and they're trying to survive, and unfortunately on the back of a homeowner, then they're doing what they can do to be in somewhere versus be homeless. So I don't know. It is a big issue. I think that this bill as I read it, because I was up in Tallahassee and Diane Hart was talking about it. Rep. Hart was talking about it. It covers the the owner, but then it had funny language that I can't remember about somebody you being able to somebody living not being on the lease.
Right. Right.
It has language around that
There's
was
a backdoor.
troublesome.
Right, because those are the general ways, I think, and this is across multiple states, those are general ways of how an occupant can remain in a home and not be considered a squatter to the point that they just broke into the place. So if they were previous residents and lived there, and let's say the person on the lease left, but they also lived there and can prove that they lived there for any length of time, then you have to go through, I guess, maybe a different process to get them out. Let's say in this case where the owner was deceased, they contacted the next living relative that they could find, but that was months later. There was something like a $1,500 or maybe a $15,000 fine. We're talking to villages. Let's go with $15,000 fine as far as not keeping up the property, blah, blah, blah. And so these owners or the relatives say, look, we're not responsible for that. Like, we didn't even know, so we're not responsible for it. Mm-hmm. But until they can go through those processes, the person is there. Let's say they said, well, I was living here when so-and-so was alive. Who can prove that that didn't happen? So those are the back.
So since you're the chair,
right.
So go knock on their door and introduce yourself.
Well,
and be nosy.
Right. Now, I am that guy, and if I know my wife is listening, she's probably like, yeah, he's already nosy enough.
Because then we won't assume.
But here's the thing: that's not the CDD does not control that. That would be the HOA.
Yeah, but I mean.
But I can.
Yeah,
I mean,
you can.
Nothing stops me from doing that. But I just noticed that, and I think since it's been coming up, and now they're saying that a lot of the illegal immigrants are now in on that. That's just yet another way that they found out how to beat the system, and then it makes me think. And I'm going to veer away from this here in a minute. But if you've ever seen those pictures, you never see them on CNN or MSNBC. You have to go to a Fox channel where you see all these long lines of immigrants waiting at the gate like they're just going to overrun the place.
You sit on CNN too.
Oh, okay. You ever notice that you see them on their phone? They have white shirts on. They're on their phone. I'm like, where do they walk from? My phone dies, pretty quickly. And these people are always on their phone. They're always with like white shirts on. It's like, and they're drinking water. And I'm like, where'd that come from? Well, there are all these different ways that along that immigration channel that they know where to go, and certainly there are entities that are there to support homeless people. Mm-hmm. But I just think that that's something that I think is coming through the back door, and the fact that DeSantis got on it so quickly and signed this legislation, I bet there's more than meets the eye, because I ran into a gentleman at this is a Family Dollar, what's on the other side of this gate. Mm-hmm. Last year, while I was in line, and he was Spanish speaking. They couldn't understand what he was saying. Well, the woman was a black woman. She didn't understand what he was saying. There was a woman in there who said, I speak Spanish. She looked to be Hispanic, and she said, but I'm not sure I understand every other word. He had this weird ID that looked like a Apple ID, the white card, and it had some emblem on it. And so me, being the conservative I am, I'm like, that's probably an illegal immigrant. I didn't point him out like that, but I'm like, that's probably how it happens, because you can, I just go back to this thing that I'm struggling with. When you have non-speaking persons in a new development, but you have people, black and white, who can't afford it, it's just hard for me to believe that a non-speaking person came and purchased a $350,000 home. So they have to be renters or somehow living there.
You'll be surprised in regards to when you identify, and I ain't even talking about
stereotyping.
Yeah, yeah. The grace and the help that they get when they come over here.
I will go with that. Okay, so with that, let's scoot on to Joe Biden. Clint sent me a couple of things, and he was talking about that trio, and he's like, oh, this is what unity looks like, Bill Clinton. You saw it was Clinton, Obama, and Biden.
I didn't see it.
When they raised the $25 million at that, whatever charity, that benefit.
A fundraiser?
Yeah, it was a fundraiser.
Okay.
And to me, the optics didn't look that great. You had Bill Clinton trying to high-five Joe Biden. Joe Biden is kind of out of it. He turns away,
Oh
so
my
Bill
God.
Clinton misses
Y'all
him.
need to,
And
y'all need to
was-
stop with that.
but
Y'all
it
need to
is
stop with
bad.
that.
It is. Look at it. He's like, and this is how they bring it in. I hadn't seen. Have you seen that clip? I haven't seen that clip done differently. It's when they're standing up, they're kind of like giving the ovation, and Bill Clinton is like trying to give him a high five. Joe Biden turns away because he's turning to Obama. Obama hits him on the back, and then he turns back. It's like he's just like this robot. He's out of it.
So why even state that he's out of it? Why you know?
Because he has a blank look. If you see him talk, other than that State of the Union, which
So
I
does
gave
he-
him credit
does
for,
he,
he's probably doped up, but we gave him credit for
So
being lucid.
is Trump doped up, and is Trump?
Trump has always been a nutcase. No one's ever. I've never said that Trump. I've never said he's articulate. I can't listen to a whole speech, but he is not out of it. Joe Biden has that stare of a senile person, and if you've been around him, you know what that is. It's that scary look. It's that stare. But we have other.
Maybe because everybody's judging him, and he's trying to be on point. Maybe because
he is 80-something and he's old.
He's older. We ain't far from that.
Well, yeah, we're far from senility, and it's not about the whole age component, but when you,
But that's what
when
they're
you're falling
stating
down
that.
multiple times.
So as you get older, you stumble.
My grandma will be 100 this year in December.
Okay.
No reports of her falling. So I mean,
So it
just
may
to say
not
because
be-
you're older don't mean you fall. I mean, I think now you're being a bit stereotypical because you're older.
No,
you
so
somehow
you
lose your balance.
you use so it's a known fact. Older people when they get older,
Mm-hmm.
they stumble, they lose their balance, not necessarily fall.
Well, we're going to take that up on the other side of the break because I need to go in through my notes and find some things about senile people. So let me give you the number before we go out. 813-444-9518. 9588. We'll see you another end.
See, we're getting older.
Who doesn't love being number one? When your team's dominating the standings, or your favorite band rocks the charts at number one, it feels good, right? Kind of like how it feels when you have auto insurance with State Farm. Because making you feel like number one is an honor your local State Farm agent takes seriously. Through the good times and not so good, your State Farm agent's proud to be here to help life go right.
Call Herman White at 961-6661. That's 961-6661.
We're playing your favorite old school. Today's R&B. With a smooth touch of jazz. You're listening to In Touch Radio.
By now, we're all aware of the dangers of COVID-19. Like others with existing health issues, cancer patients are at a high risk due to their compromised condition. If you are newly diagnosed with cancer, your care likely can't wait. Moffitt Cancer Center is the best place for your cancer concerns and to provide guidance to help you plan your next steps. We're here for you. Call 1-888-456-2839 or go to moffitt.org/here for you.
Hey, this is Agent Wright, better known as Mr. Clean. You looking for some great barbecue? Come see them two brothers in the grill, located at 423 Virginia Street, Charleston, West Virginia. We got ribs, chicken, pulled pork, brisket, collard greens, mac and cheese, baby. Come get some and get you a nice, smooth cigar. 304-550-4431. That is 304-550-4431. Come get some, baby. The Rib Man, mama, the Rib Man.
All right, we're back. Straight up the middle. Before we left, we were talking about Joe Biden's age, and I was being, told I was being stereotypical, and these things happen. And so just to clear that up, I know I can come off that way, and I don't, but I do believe that what we're seeing is what we're seeing. I think the Democrats certainly had that same concern. That's why they too were looking to see how well Joe Biden was going to do at his State of the Union. And so and he did well. I was texting Clint. I was like, man, he did come off as angry. Now, you can say he might have been passionate, but I don't know.
But you identified him as being doped up.
Whatever stimulant they may have had him on, and I don't know what that medication is. I know there is a medication for those persons with dementia to try to slow that process. But
so you're identifying him as having dementia?
I definitely believe he has dementia.
Wow.
Yeah. His gaffes are too far out there.
He's always had that. He's always been that. He's known to do that, even when he was younger.
Well, he was known to lie a lot when he was younger.
No, he was known to have gaffes.
He lied about his education. He lied. That's not a gaffe. And he took that.
So we're talking about. So Trump is a liar too.
What? Well, we know that.
Okay.
But you can't. Trump wasn't a politician.
So
you have
what?
a career politician.
So what?
And that's the pushback against President Trump, because they couldn't defeat him by conventional methods, because you have a guy who you should have been able to whoop. He beat Hillary Clinton. He beat that very serious political machine.
So do you believe Trump won? Are you in that percentage?
Oh, you must not have heard. Yeah, I come here every time. Yeah. Trump
you
won.
believe one?
I
really?
Trump won. Joe Biden was installed. Here's how you can tell.
Oh my God!
Here's how you can tell. What Biden shirt have you seen? What movement have you seen behind Joe Biden? I think a quarter.
The movement was during that election. South Carolina made the turn. That's when the movement started. So nobody has to. Put on their hat, make America great again,
no, you don't have
or
to do
sell
that.
the Bibles. God bless the U.S.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Ridiculous.
That was not now you. That is absolutely crazy. Yeah,
oh, it is.
He
okay.
has a slogan. He has a slogan: "Build Back Better." And so, to pivot over, now there's some things. Now I'm going to the economy under Biden. So now this has nothing to do with him being fragile, but I think the fact that on the right side of the aisle, we believe that he does have some impairment there. And so who is actually making these decisions? Because the economy overall, investments, portfolios are looking really good. How many black folk do you hear talking about my portfolio looks really good? That targets a certain demographic, and it's typically people with money that are invested. When you hear about
that has always been though,
right?
Because black people tend to not do what?
Okay, invest.
Correct.
Okay, so making mention of Joe Clyburn in South Carolina, or Jim Clyburn in South Carolina, the movement. Well, that was that black vote that he pulled
100%
to get him in. What's the repayment for them? Because when we look at unemployment, it's ticking back up. It's 3.9%. In this good economy, it's ticking back up.
So for Clyburn to rally his people to pull him, what did Clyburn ask for? So now we have
from African American?
No, from Biden. What did Clyburn ask for?
I have no idea.
Right?
What is it?
So I don't know.
Oh, okay.
So again, for that to happen, right? What did the elected official ask for? For him to rally his base to come out.
Well, then that's the age-old question: what came first, chicken or egg? Even when blacks ask for what do they get, is really what the question should be: what did they get? Rather not what they asked for. Did they get what they asked for? And that's why there's something that always has to be said. So I'm looking at,
and we definitely don't get it with the Republicans.
Well, Trump was the one that had pulled that unemployment down for African Americans before Joe Biden got in office. He pulled that number down. If you want to argue against maybe how low it went, but that was one thing the Democrats were angry about, because how dare he pull that unemployment number down under his administration? We don't like him. It was collusion with Russia, but it was down. Now, I even text Clint after the last show I was on and said, okay, I had those numbers wrong, because Joe Biden had those numbers down lower by a few percentage points. But if you look at February's unemployment, so it ticked back up to 3.9, so that's really 4%, but it was hovering around 3.6, 3.7, so we're talking about percentage points, but it's still that's 4. I like to look for, as we're talking about Jim Clyburn and what he got and what he asked for and what African Americans may have received. This is what they're receiving on a monthly basis. It's ticking up. So if it's 3.9% as a national unemployment, when you look at white men and white women, it's 3.1% unemployment for 20 years and older. For men, 3.2% for white women, 20 years and older. For black men, 20 years and older, is 6.1%, and for black women, it's 4.4%. And those numbers come directly from the BLS.gov, the Bureau of Labor and Statistics.
So these are individuals that have applied for unemployment?
No, these are, I don't know if they applied for unemployment because there's also a category for who's out of the job market. And so
these are people that are not working, that are identified as not working.
Right, unemployed. Now, that subtext is probably in there, but we're looking at the same numbers now. I'm not saying that there is no description or maybe some qualifier for those numbers. There probably is because there typically is. But on its face, when we look at the numbers, 3.9, we don't drill down, it's 3.9. When the unemployment rate was up under Trump, they didn't try to figure out why it was up. It was a pandemic, but they didn't care. They wanted to say how bad of a president he was. And, I'm old enough to remember they were trying to impeach a sitting president with a pandemic. So all those worked against them because in the end, you have this, and I'm not going to say this great speaker, this passionate guy, but you have that same person who you have to put a band together, Clinton, Obama, and Biden, to try to boost his polls to beat him. He's still leading Biden in battleground states. And how does that happen?
I don't trust polls.
You don't trust them until they proved to be wrong with Trump in 2016.
Yeah, I don't trust polls.
But you need a measure. Whether or not they're true to form, you need a measure.
So you're back to supporting Trump. You're gonna vote for Trump.
I certainly will. Who's my alternative?
Oh wow.
Who's my alternative?
Oh wow. So I thought you were mad at you didn't like what Trump did.
I'm a registered independent. I'm not a Republican.
Oh my God.
I'm a registered independent.
Really?
Yes. If I carried the wallet, I'd show you my registration. But yeah, I'm a registered independent. So, but Biden can't get my vote. He can't get my vote. I don't see now. I benefit from the portfolio. I'm meeting with my wealth management company next week. I was supposed to meet with them Friday, but I was late getting them. I'm always late. So I'm grateful in that regard. But when you go to the store, and that's the other part of the economic numbers. When you go to the store, the prices are up.
So for a fact that whatever happens in the previous administration, it rolls into the new administration. Trump benefited from a lot of stuff that happened in Obama, and it trickled in his, so he took the credit for it. So
Biden must be taking credit for this good portfolio. Then it has to keep going.
So, but did I say everything? So inflation or the prices. Certain things, and to be honest,
almost nil when he came into it. That's why they started with that 20 or whatever, with the 20 trillion, with that stimulus bill. You could do that when Biden came into office because inflation wasn't up. It was like 2%, if that. So you could do that stimulus bill. So that's what Biden benefited from. And here's how we know that. You don't have to believe the polls to know that you're paying more and considerably more for everyday goods. I think they say that's up around 18%. And you know why you can verify that?
So have we bounced back from the pandemic?
Of course we have. If you let Biden talk about it, he's done all these great things.
No, with cargo, with so all those things all those things are a factor.
I'm glad you mentioned that. Well, why is it that our distribution channel and our supply channel have been so compromised under Buttigieg? I mean, he's ex-military. He should know this stuff because we're talking about logistics. It's not hard for an officer where he was, and I forget what he did in the military, but there's always logistics in troops and sailors and ships and whatever it is. But it seems, and just referencing what happened to the Francis Scott Key Bridge, I have truck drivers, and one in particular is my old roommate. I heard the same thing about 9/11, who thinks that was an inside job, that they hit that bridge on purpose.
Why?
because that bridge needed to be serviced. Not being a truck driver, and I hope Carl calls in because he can kind of verify this. He's saying out of all the bridges up north that he has to cross over, that's one of the ones that has not been serviced in a lot of years. There's always some kind of apprehension going across that bridge, taking loads and what have you.
But they had construction people.
That was a tanker boat. I mean, a container boat that hit that bridge. It's like...
They said they lost power, so why wouldn't you believe that?
Being in the military, that boat left that port. It was leaving port, right, when it hit. What's also around a boat, and that's probably Carl, what's around a boat when they leave tugboats? How is it? Because you need that, because it's not like a motorboat. And I'm going to pause there. Hey, straight up the middle caller, who do we have?
Good morning, Professor. This is Carl calling in.
Carl, help me out. Now, your truck driver's telling me some things.
Well, let me say good morning, Ms. Lockett. It's Dr. CEO. Beautiful face on Cambridge Science Professor and attorney Clint Pass.
Good morning. Good morning.
So where am I wrong, Carl?
I think you're wrong because that bridge is gonna cripple our economy.
Mm-hmm.
You have a lot. I mean, I've been across the bridge myself with Anheuser-Busch's over there. You got Domino Sugar. You have a lot of. It's a big export. It's a big import. So they really need that bridge. Watch, you're going to see a big difference and a lot of shipping and a lot of import items while the bridge is down.
Right, and I believe that.
Okay, look, I tell you, this sounds just like you just came from a MAGA.
Hey, it was a truck driver that told me this. I don't believe that the government does these things. I don't believe that the government was behind the 9/11, the planes hitting the buildings. But there are a lot of black folks. As a matter of fact, this wasn't the same truck driver that speaks like that. They think it's an inside job.
Because that's gonna really hurt our economy. I don't think so. But
So, or do you agree with him that bridge needed repair?
Oh yeah, all the bridges, and that is exactly why our president came up with the infrastructure bill.
Mm-hmm.
So he came up with the infrastructure beforehand, and they weren't sure in that area. That's the DMV, right? Isn't that considered that whole DMV area?
They had construction on the bill.
Yeah,
on the bridge.
I mean, all the bridges in the interstate are getting a major repair. If you travel even out west, all your bridges are getting major repairs. A lot of them. So I don't think they would destroy that bridge and set our import export back for that reason. No, that's other ways of for negative stuff. I mean,
now,
it wouldn't be that.
Yeah. Now, what I did hear them say they were going to do, the means that they're putting out for that to repair it, because of the importance of it, they're doing everything they can to start the repair of the rebuild of it. So they are putting it first in regards to doing that. Now, because I thought I figured it would be out for the next 10 years or whatever,
Well,
just how long.
I think it's 3 years. It's going to be at least 3 years to rebuild that bridge, if I'm not mistaken.
But they're putting all stops out to do that, to make it, because they know the importance of it.
Yeah. Well, Carl, we appreciate you calling in.
Okay, try to keep the show in the middle, Professor. Try to keep it in the middle.
We're riding on the right side tonight, brother. But we'll talk with you. Be safe out on the road.
Yes, be safe.
All right. And again, this kind of ties into, and I want to make the tie-in, but like I said, I have one of the gentlemen, African-American, ex-military, and I think Bevel's kind of agreeing with this about the 9/11 planes. And I just couldn't, I'm not on that side. I don't believe it was a government conspiracy or inside job, but there's so many people who believe that, black and white.
But how would the government benefit from it?
I don't know. I don't know. Because it's not a theory that I promote, that I believe in. So people who have that thought. Now, my truck driver who believed that this was an inside job, he says it's for that reason because that bridge needed construction he said it was severely in need of construction.
But they had a construction crew on the bridge.
But that could have been just...
No, they were doing work on the bridge.
Yeah, I mean, but just because you see a construction crew on the bridge, there's a construction crew on the Skyway 3-4 days out of the week. But that bridge was rebuilt, 20 years ago, whatever it is. But there's always going to be construction on the bridge. That doesn't mean that they're doing any type of structural repairs. That could just be kind of statics. It could be, I don't know what they were doing. But here's the other part to it, and I'm glad you reminded me. Did you notice, if you saw the clips, that before we knew that apparently the cargo ship signaled ahead that they were having issues, there were cars going across, and then it just stopped, and then it hit the bridge. I had to call him back the next day once I heard that they called ahead to let people know that they were having issues. I can still not really understand when you know, having been on a ship for 6 years, when you leave port, there are going to be tugboats that pull you out. Now, I think they were further away from the pier that they didn't need that to happen. But if you can radio ahead and say, I'm going to hit this bridge, a tugboat is faster than a tender. They could have been there to stop it. That's what tugboats do. They could bump against the ship so it doesn't hit it. If they want to keep it in the channel, that's what they do. That's what tugboats do. They pull them away from the pier. You know this. They pull them away.
They're actually supposed to follow the boat
right.
until they get out in the channel.
So the fact that there's no real talk about where were those tugboats, and again, knowing that how that happens, more in the lines. We have to man the ship. We throw it over. They untie the ship. We pull that in, and there's always people around as you're going out from the port. But there's always tugboats in the water that follow that ship on the outskirts of that ship. So the fact that didn't happen, and I told my guys, there's something
that would be unfortunate if with that theory, because 6 people lost their lives.
Yep.
So if it was something, but if that was an inside plan. Hopefully, then, they would have made sure that.
Right. But it's also 1 o'clock in the morning, so, I don't know what the traffic is normally like. But I agree. And when people say stuff like that, I go, well, that's already going to cripple our economy. Personally, I don't think we've rebounded from COVID as far as our supply chain. And so this happens. So
they're still trying to get drivers. The trucking industry is still crippled. So there's a lot of stuff going on, still going on because of COVID. People, and back to the people not working. People are not working, and I don't know what they're doing, but they've left their jobs, or they are not. They're making a decision not to work, and that's a big part of. It's a different mindset right now. Even with finding people to work, it's a different mindset right now. And people, so there is a large percentage of that number that you just provided that people are since COVID, they decided not to work. They're not doing it. And I don't know how they're surviving.
Yeah, that's a conversation that people have within the trucking, because I would think, and I still hear, these openings for drivers, for truckers. But again, this one buddy of mine, he's also ex-Navy. And the truck driver, he says that the mindset is not there for a lot of young drivers either. You have to be willing to be out on the road in some of the worst conditions, and a lot of them want to drive local because they have and I'm going to just pull in the whole social media. They're so used to being so convenient. You can't be on your phone.
But this is so interesting to me in regards to the work that I guess my generation and prior were willing to do.
Right.
And no one is preparing, no one has prepared the younger people to take those reins to continue. A truck driver makes darn good
easy 6 figures.
Yeah. Good money, but the mindset of the kids that they are, they're not willing to do the plumbing, do air conditioning, own their own business in that right.
Well, they want to be influencers. That's a bit more sexy. So I'm here. We have to take a break. We're going to see you on the other side. Again, 813-444-9588. All right, see you on the other side.
Help from an attorney that knows how to handle your injury claim. This is Attorney Clinton Paris from the Law Office of Clinton Paris. For over a decade, I worked for insurance companies, and now I use that knowledge and experience to help people that have been injured. For a free consultation, call me, Attorney Clinton Paris, at 813-413-7924. That's 813-413-7924, or at parislawoffice.com. At the Law Office of Clinton Paris, we take the pain out of being hurt. Offices, Riverview.
In Touch Radio, where you can listen to a cruising flow of smooth soul and jazz, today's R&B, a fun touch of hip-hop and gospel.
All my music on one station.
Giving you a buffet of music, news, and entertainment. We're In Touch Radio. We're playing your favorite old school. Today's R&B. With a smooth touch of jazz. Listening to In Touch Radio.
Who doesn't love being number one? When your team's dominating the standings, or your favorite band rocks the charts at number one, it feels good, right? Kind of like how it feels when you have auto insurance with State Farm. Because making you feel like number one is an honor your local State Farm agent takes seriously. Through the good times and not so good, your State Farm agent's proud to be here to help life go right.
Call Herman White at 961-6661. That's 961-6661.
Call Ricky. Ask Ricky. You need medical or a lawyer? I got the man to do the legwork for you. We tried the other ones before, so believe we hunted down 813-248-6300. Everything gon' be okay. Call Ricky, he coming. He taking kids state of Florida. Grab a pen or sun down 184-361 Rick. That's 184-367-425. Never word from the point forward, just recline. Just ask Ricky, plus your boy stay fine. Just in case you missed it, I'ma tell you one more time. 184-361 Rick. Call Ricky, ask Ricky is a legal medical referral service. The doctors and lawyers in our network are trained in handling auto injury claims and giving you the best medical treatment and recovery. Now 184-361 Rick. That's 184-361-7425. Ricky. Ask Ricky.
We're back. So this last part of the segment, we're going to talk about everything Trump.
Oh my God!
Some of my cohorts here, they just can't stand the fact that Trump got a break. You know, the guy who has a rabbit's foot, or he's just a really lucky guy. So let's start with the reduction in his bond. So can anyone agree that was a bond? And you can't disagree because there's been no precedent for
always a first. Always a first.
Okay, so an American citizen who is fined $454 million, almost $500 million, and so if there's always a first, we're okay with that being for a former president, a leading party contender for the upcoming presidential election. So we're okay with that only because it's President Trump. If that were Joe Biden, if that were President Obama, we'd be like, oh, these white people just want President Obama. They never liked him, although they put him in office twice. If it were Joe Biden, oh, these redneck Republicans, oh, they just, whatever it is, it'd be something. But since it's Donald Trump, it's okay.
I am so, my mouth is open right now. I am so surprised at you.
What? Because he had a reduction in bond?
No, just,
I will say it again. The reason why Donald Trump is polling better than any other white Republican in history, I don't know, but I shouldn't say in history, but any other in my time among blacks, is because we can now see
he gave them a PPE check. He gave them a check. So
but
again,
that can't be it because Democrats love giving out handouts.
So we did that, and we did that. That was due to Nancy Pelosi. So we did that, but Trump just put a signature on it.
So he just gave it, but when it's
he was against it.
Trump
was against it.
And we talk about, and to bring in something we talked about offline was the work ethic of the younger generation. It's not just blacks, it's the younger generation. But now when we're talking about African American in that same context of a work ethic, social programs have never done all that well. It's always broken the will of the average. You never see a person say, man, if it wasn't for all those checks I got, I didn't know how I would make it. But when you see an inventor, when you see someone that's pulled themselves out, it's done well. It could be millionaire or not.
No, that's not true.
Those things that help them. They talk about personal qualities. They talk about work ethic. Most talk about religion and God. They don't talk about the social programs that got them there.
So have you ever been on a social program?
I never had to be on a social program.
Okay, so
I'm ex-military, and I served my country.
So I was a single mom.
I raised 3 kids as a single parent dad for 11 years. Had all 3 of my kids in a college prepaid program. Each one of them in this generation, one went, dropped out, spent all his money up in Virginia. So I've had to, and I never put their mom, God bless her soul, she passed 2 years ago. I never put her on child support. So I'm not talking from any other place but experience.
Okay, so I speak from experience. I benefited from social programs. Mm-hmm. I was on Section 8. I got welfare, but I benefited from it. But it was a hand up, not a handout. So I used it at a time that I needed it, and I got off of it. So now I don't outline, and Section 8 got me a place to live with me and my son. Mm-hmm. So social programs they're not lifetime programs. They do, that's what the intent is.
But wouldn't you agree that program is not a little bit abused? It's abused greatly to the point that people get on the social program, and then we talk about the father, what's it called, man not in the home, whatever that phrase that they're using. But it's part of the whole welfare thing. Single parent moms get on this, but you can't be in there as in a 2-parent home. It
depends on your income.
Right.
So both parents can be in the home. Depends on their. So once upon a time, white America, and I say white America because they're the majority, mm-hmm. they created a system.
Well, back then they were the majority, not majority now.
They created a system to keep the man out of the house.
And what was that system, though? Welfare, wasn't it?
Correct.
Okay.
So now it goes based on your income. So if they are married and they both fit the bill, they can be on be on Section 8. They can and get assistance.
Mm. But I think at least I don't have a problem saying it. Even with that system the way it is, why is it that you don't see the 2-parent home on the welfare system? That's more of an exception to the rule than the rule. You typically see single-parent black women. They don't want that extra income because it takes away from what they can get from the government. That's not a knock. That's a reality. That's how to work the system. It's been that way for many years. But what we're saying, we have to have that in the same conversation. We can't compartmentalize that because a woman with a child, if predominantly that demographic takes up they're on that program, that already breaks the work ethic. That in itself, over time, is one of the contributing reasons to the work ethic. Why people don't want to work as hard. I don't just blame kids. I don't blame because
no.
But we just had a conversation with kids in our day. We were willing to work a job. We were willing to work a job and put in long hours. In our day, we just talked about that.
So again, there's a certain demographic of people that what you're saying is absolutely correct. That's not the majority. That's not the majority. So you have a certain
demographic.
demographic.
The majority of people in housing programs are two-income families?
No.
Oh.
The majority of people in housing programs are hard workers and trying to make ends meet, and they're working and they're trying to get it with those. And back to single moms. It's unfortunate, and I was a single mom. I've never been married, but it's unfortunate that we tend to get into relationships that don't lead to marriage, but we birth children out of it. So that's unfortunate. But a lot of the people that are in housing, they're not deadbeats. You have a small percentage of people that get the benefits and make it a lifetime. There's so many programs within housing. You could buy a house on Section 8 now. So they offer a lot of programs to get you out of
this market, or just in
general.
Well, yeah, I served on the board out in Pinellas Village out in Largo. I served on the board. That program went under. And it was a program where single-parent families, not just women, but it's predominantly women, could live there for 5 years. There was a program in place where X amount of money was, I don't know how they did that, but if they worked, they had to put X amount of money into an escrow. And at the end of that program, they would be self-sufficient. I think it follows some Cleveland House, another program that it was following. But that program went under during the financial crisis, 2008, 2009, so that program went under. Don't want to beat that because we talked about Trump. Let's get back to Trump. So he had a bond reduction. So you guys don't like to talk about that. Let's talk about his recent valuation of the social platform.
No, wait a minute. Don't skip over that, because now in society, that bond reduction it's not half so the decision to give him a reprieve on the 30-day extension. Right now he was originally charged with $464 million a bond. Now cut it all the way down to $175 million. I am so surprised.
Go DJT. You got that down. But what was the rationale? See, we didn't pull it down. There was an appellate judge that pulled that down. What was the reason for that?
Privilege.
So that was they wrote down privilege?
Yeah, a privilege. So, the reason why, and let me just say this.
It's only one white judge? Hey, go ahead.
So the illusion of what somebody is, Trump has been able to put that forth, right? Saying that he's worth X amount of billions of dollars. Is that the case?
Not now, because they've been trying to break him the whole time.
No, it wasn't the case when he started getting these lawsuits. So when you start unpeeling, when you think more of yourself than anybody else does, and I guess that's confidence, right? You put forth an amount. You're going to say if you are worth a dollar, you're going to actually $1. You're going to say you're worth 10. And as long as nobody questions that 10, you keep building from that. So what has happened is now the things are being unveiled, and he doesn't have it.
Well, from my understanding, when he came into office, he was saying that his valuation was like $3.4 billion. And some people say, no, it's not 3, but he was still a billionaire. It's like 1.7. It's still a billionaire. All these properties, excuse me, and you remember they were trying to allege that he was making money because he had all these properties in these other countries. So surely he was getting money from all these properties. So you can't tell me. The intent was to say what they said. The intent of Letitia James was to get Donald Trump. The intent was to break him.
Black woman, yeah.
So he could not run. And even Clint, Clint
not that he's won. Not that he couldn't won, but he's being held accountable for his actions.
So when they said that that Biden had those documents and he lied about where he had them, when he had them.
We're not talking about Biden. We're talking about Trump.
But I'm trying to say, we're talking about privilege. We have to be talking about privilege here. So
No,
let's
we're
talk
talking
about
about Trump.
privilege.
Let's stay on Trump.
Okay, but if we're talking about privilege, let's talk about people with privilege.
No, we're talking about Trump.
We cannot find the same guy.
So y'all pivot real well.
Well, especially when it's the same thing.
No,
It is
but
the same
y'all,
thing.
but we
You've
ain't
done that
talking-
to no other former
so
president.
your whole show.
We didn't go after. We didn't go after. We didn't go after after Hillary Clinton. Remember the whole put her in jail? Trump didn't go after her. She deleted all those emails. She shouldn't have had them. Joe Biden shouldn't have had them. So the privilege comes in.
Republicans tend to pivot and not answer the question.
Well, no, we answered the question because you asked why. It was reduced by a judge because it was a ridiculous fine from the start.
No, I made a statement that we found out that Trump wasn't worth everything that he.
I don't know. I don't think that's true. Now that may be what your research, but Trump, they said that he might not have been. I remember the dispute about was he worth $3.4 billion, and they were like, no, more like 1.7. But it was never that he wasn't a billionaire. That was never in question before he ran. But once he ran as a Republican and whooped that political machine, all the Democrats they can't stand him because he's like on Blade. He's like their daywalker. He has all their strength and none of their weaknesses. He's white, he's tall, he's rich.
Oh my
he has all their strength, but none of their weaknesses.
Let me find out you got on some Air Trumps.
I was gonna buy some.
You got some Air Trumps.
Listen,
How much is it selling them for?
He got a Bible and a Trump.
Yeah.
I didn't get that, but I did take a screenshot. But
Man, you need to just
So what do you think about the Bible?
I'm a Republican
let's talk about
Trumper.
that. That's a bad look for him. Now I don't know who the person he partnered with, but it doesn't do well. It's a bad look for him because he does not have the best reputation. History. But here's the thing. He's a salesman. He always has been. He's always about branding. He always talks in the third person, Trump, 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 which is very annoying. But that's a businessman. He never claimed to be a politician. He came in and he beat that political system. And ever since he beat that system in 2016, they have not been able to digest that. They've been after him from the day one with Russian collusion, and then the whole call to Ukraine, and voila, we're fighting a war and funding Ukraine now. But it was an issue when Trump called, but it's okay about giving them billions of dollars.
They couldn't fund it without the Republicans being a part of it.
This
So
is
they
true.
have to. So those Republicans that's voting for it,
Yeah.
and you know they stand on their merit. If they have to, they're agreeing to it.
There's still
So-
a lot of anti-Trumpers, and there's still
Well,
a
so
lot of
now they're
never-Trumpers.
so they're anti-Trumpers.
No, they always had been. There were some who were outspoken about it, and then some who were not. But what they found out,
But with them,
what they found out about Donald Trump is, you can't beat me. I took your voters.
But he didn't take all of them.
He didn't take all of them. Who can get elected if MAGA voters don't vote? What Republican can beat a Democrat if they don't get Trump's voters? Not a one. There's not enough electoral votes.
So if
So he has the party.
the Republicans that are voting to support Ukraine, they're right there doing the right thing.
I'm not saying that there wasn't some valid rationale to do it, and we're coming to an end here. You know how heated we got here, and I'm being accused of having some air trumpers. If they were like $50, I would have bought them just to send Clint a picture of it.
You can't be cheap. You got to support it.
How much
I
are they?
donated to his
$400.
campaign. I donated to Trump's campaign when they hit him
did?
with that 300. It turned into 460. Yeah, well, as soon as that came out, okay, let me.
So you
see. I
paying
got
his
some money.
bills. That's what he got.
Hey.
He's paying his bills.
Joe
That's what it
Biden raised
is.
$25 million in one day with that
He-
fish band they had put together for that.
Oh,
Hey man, but you paying his bills.
But who donated to that $25 million?
It
do you
doesn't mean-
think? Do you think? I can go there.
Yeah, we need to.
All right.
We just need to go ahead and go.
I think they're going to have y'all pray for him. I think they're going to have a little exorcism when we get off show. Somebody's going to lay hands on me.
Clint needs to come back. Clint, come on back. Clint.
But in that, we just passed Good Friday. Easter's coming up. So hopefully you guys will pray for me for having this mindset. But, take Christ's words forward. And that's one of the reasons why they executed him or crucified him.
Yes.
So that's the seriousness. And happy Easter.
Yeah. Resurrection Day.
Is that it? Are we out now?
Yep.
All right.
Done.
Thank you. Just straight up the middle.
Thank you for the invite.
Hello. I get the music going.
Okay.
There we go.
Are we all?
Nah, we out of here.
Okay. Yeah,